So over Christmas, as often happens, you get invited to a bunch of Christmas parties. And this one Christmas party I went to, there was Catholics there, but there was also people that weren't Catholic. And as sometimes happened, they started to ask me questions about what I believed, about my faith. And this one particular guy was asking me questions kind of about who's most powerful in your religion. So I was like, okay, God, and we were like, yeah, I think that makes sense. I think we both agree with that. And then he was asking me questions, well, how powerful do you think the devil is? How powerful do you think Mary is? And it was this really interesting conversation. But I told him that sometimes the world gets it wrong and thinks that it's God and the devil in kind of this arm wrestling match for the world, right? There's somehow these two ancient foes pitted against each other. They're kind of evenly matched, and they're both deking it out for the souls of the world. And in reality, God could destroy the devil in a millisecond. The devil is one of his creatures. He created him. He could bring him out of existence as easily as he brought him into existence. It's actually much more fascinating to think about the relationship, or more the contrast between Mary, our Blessed Mother, and Satan. I think that's much more interesting because both of them are creatures. Both of them were created by God. And yet one of them had an attitude and a disposition towards God of rebellion and pride. And the other, our Blessed Mother, had one of humility, seeing herself as a servant, as a handmaid of the Lord. And yet the interesting thing is that the devil, who tries to be proud and assert his authority over God, ultimately has been brought to the lowest of the low. And our Blessed Mother, this teenage girl from the middle of nowhere in the Roman Empire, some tiny province of the Roman Empire, she, in her lowliness, has been exalted to the most glorified creature in all of creation. And there's something in there to think about for all of us. That when Mary today is praying, she's glorifying the Lord. Why? Because of what he's done for her. It says he has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones. And yet he has lifted up the lowly and filled the hungry with good things. So the devil used to be a very glorious angel in heaven. Satan was one of the most glorious angels in heaven, and yet this glory was his undoing because he became proud of himself. And he told God, I will not serve. And there are some theologians that actually think that one of the main reasons that the devil rebelled against God is because God revealed his plan that he was going to take human flesh, that his son would become a human being, and that Mary, this, in the angelic view, this weak human being, would become this glorified, exalted Queen of Heaven. And Satan, in his pride, said, you would take the nature of these human beings, you would exalt this woman over all of us, you would have us as angels bow down to her as the Queen of Heaven. I will not serve. I will not serve you. I will not go along with this plan. And so Satan and those rebellious demons that were with him, they were cast out of heaven because of their pride, because of their arrogance. These mighty ones were cast down. And Mary, this lowly woman, who when the angel came to her and presented her the plan of God, she said, let it be done to me according to your will. This humility that she shows and now has been elevated, has been lifted up to this grand title, the Mother of God himself. And so what can we learn from this? Well, not to be proud, to be humble, to approach the Lord with humility, to not worry about our own glory, what other people think about us, if we're getting the accolades and the thanks that we think we deserve, but to be like Mary, to approach the Lord humbly and say, do to me according to your word, whatever you want. And this is how the Lord will raise us up. We don't act humbly so that he will raise us up, but we act humbly towards the Lord. And when we do, we allow ourselves to be lifted up to the glory of sainthood that he has called us to be. Every saint in heaven lives in glory right now, and every saint in heaven had to learn humility here on earth. So all of us can imitate our Blessed Mother in being humble before the Lord and allowing him to lift up the lowly, because he casts down those who are arrogant and proud towards him. So let's imitate our Blessed Mother today and reject the arrogance and the pride that we are tempted to by the angels who had that as their undoing.